y'all, in this video, I'm going to show you a behind-the-scenes look at our hands-on training epoxy classes. This pro class was a great turnout, and I had Mitch from Stone Coat Countertop help me teach our students one of our very favorite epoxy recipes, the Big Mitch Marble. So get out your notes and get ready to follow along.
All right, so first you're going to do is you're going to roll out the barrel. Then we're going to come in with our clear. Now, why are we doing clear?
No, that one,
Have any idea? It's going to create depth. You're going to be able to see through it to a black substrate anyway. So that's where you get your real cool depth. If you don't want so much sparkle, don't put so much clear. Cut your clear. Don't put diamond dust in it. Okay? All right, so you want to hit that with some heat and melt?
Yeah, for sure. Hitting epoxy just helps you spread it a little bit easier, gets rid of some of those bubbles that you can see rise to the surface instantly. That was part of what we were trying to accomplish developing the resin, was to make it friendly enough that you could remove the air pretty quickly. Often, some of these epoxies, especially from China, if you get it on Amazon will, number one, you can't even get rid of the air. If you torch them, they'll catch on fire, so make sure it's true.
Are you trying to mix it all together? Or
No,
We're
you
covering
don't.
the board.
Yeah,
Okay,
you don't want to overmix. You still want to have opaque black with clear, because the clear is going to allow you to see down to the substrate. That's where your depth comes in. Okay?
As well as that, if we had the ebony luster in, we would have sections of just the black and then some of that swirl in there.
Yeah, a little
Any
bit.
little dry spots like that, you need to touch them. Break up the surface tension without getting torched. And at this stage, I'm always hitting my edges too. Right after I get my resin down, I'm coming through and making sure they are wet. I'm not worried about the bottom side as much. You know, I'm worried about that, because now as this flows, there won't be any horseshoe dry spots. It's all going to come even.
So can y'all see this? That right there is a fun finish. I mean, literally all by itself.
If you came on that with like a silver isopropyl mixed in the isopropyl, man, that would add a little visual fracture on top of that.
So what are you spraying on there?
This is isopropyl alcohol.
With the silver
Okay.
mica powder.
Mica powder. Just make it look like moon now, Star Wars. But we're putting it on and then we're going to smear it, right?
All right.
All right.
Have fun. What are we doing?
Just smearing it. Yep. We're layering. Same thing we just did, but I'm just barely touching it.
So you're just adding one more layer of fun depth. This is all you're doing, basically. Okay, here's the fun part. Now, when you pour this out, we had one area that we wanted to be predominantly like focal point, I guess you would call it. On this piece, we'll kind of have this one piece. All right, and we'll kind of come over here.
Cover them polka dots right here. Or you could always touch them. That's a cool thing. Like, you don't like that dot? Buy it.
Bye. All
Bye,
right.
Felicia. This aluminum likes to float, so I'm using just the tips of my fingers. I get it in there, and then I'm like pulling up pressure as I walk it away.
So Willie, what makes this is, see how he's feathering it at the end with his fingers? That
Don't be afraid to wipe
That to me, and let's just say that you don't like this or something. You can, that's what's fun, is that you can come in here with your dart.
Yep.
And you can go over the top and you can just make this so quiet, feather it out, and it almost disappears until you hit it with the alcohol. Okay. And you don't want, you leave it like this. Let it react with the black. And then when he comes back in a minute and he's gonna fracture it a little bit with the alcohol. You wanna, let's hit it with that. Yeah, that.
Hit it with the torch first, Tom.
But see how where he just barely touched it down here with the alcohol earlier? How it's starting to sink down and it's just kind of a background? It's kind of cool.
And the combination of the big and little drops are also crucial.
Now, again, before you do this, like to keep that, you may want to wait, let your epoxy sit 15, 20 minutes. And then because it's starting to thicken up, now it's gonna hold. You like that?
Is there a
Now
time
it's
when
gonna
that's
hold.
too late you shouldn't be spraying it
About
anymore?
45 minutes or so into it, if you hit it with alcohol and it just bounces across the top, it's not gonna cause any effect. So yeah.
What does it ruin the pieces you did that to?
It's not gonna ruin it. Now I tell you what will mess it up, and I did this actually on a job site. This last install that we did, and I'll talk to you more about this actual technique later. When epoxy's got about that sticky stage, still sticky. I mean, it's not dripping.
Right.
Probably.
How far sticky?
Well, still okay to the point where if you touch it and let go, your finger's clean. But it's still a little more tacky than the tape.
Okay.
What I do is I will put alcohol, after I've scraped all my drips, I will put alcohol in my hand and I will rub underneath, and those drips, those little bumps will just smooth out like butter. I'll also do that to my edges. So I'll put it in my hand and I'll rub my edges, and it'll take out any wave. It'll take it out and make your edges amazingly smooth. But what I did is I squirted it in my hand over the piece, and I got a couple of drops on it. And I thought, oh, I'm gonna be fine because I'm already at that stage. Well, then I walked away and I came back, and it was like leaving a little mark. So like a dummy, like a rookie, I grabbed my hand and I was gonna move it, and it caused just enough imperfection on that surface that I noticed it. I didn't want to have to put another flood coat. So thankfully it was in the very, very bottom corner of the shower panel. And we had that fracture. It was a granite look, and it was so busy that when they installed it, because it was at the very bottom, you couldn't see it. And I even asked the homeowner, they were there. I said, you mean I can re-pour this easily? And they're like, no, we don't have time and you can't see it. I could see it. I knew it was there. It bugged the hell out of me. But when you do that, you got to spray away from your piece and then go over that. Cool. All right. So very fun, very easy technique. Again, simplicity.
The black blobs I don't like though.
Well, then let's just
So I've been kind of smearing them out.
Well, then let's just do this.
You have a lot of time to fix that sort of stuff. I wouldn't torch, depending on your heat, humidity, and where you're working, but I usually stop torching at about 50 minutes to an hour at the latest.
Yeah, I'm in Florida, so.
Yeah, you set up quicker with that humidity.
Okay, that's a great technique. We're a little fresh to be able to keep that look.
It's another little thing you can pull out your pocket to give it some more natural little fracture.
You can also do it with a big popsicle stick.
Y'all use those with the salty?
Keith has a whole video where he made like a beard comb out
Oh,
of
I've
this
seen
thing.
them that way that you buy them.
Yeah, they're like little glue trowels almost.
Yeah.
So the main thing I want you guys to take away is just a tiny bit. Don't put aluminum over your whole thing.
Yeah. You saw how quickly that spread.
And you guys have a small board. So you're gonna really kind of do it off. You don't wanna do it right down the middle. Kind of do it off. Run your fingers. Be done, because look in front of your eyes. Look how this has changed.
And as you can see how the black's pulling through. That's because that's where it's feathered out. Whereas here it's really still thick aluminum. So use that as your technique where you kind of want some of that black to come in. I'm pulling up pressure as I'm getting further away from that silver. And then don't be afraid to
We're doing
wipe.
this one, right?
Don't be afraid to wipe
they do
the
this
silver
way?
off your hands, because it will take over, and you go to touch a black spot and you'll have silver all over it.
Yeah. Okay, so y'all go get your boards, put them on the rack, and we'll get ready for these ones.